Are you interested in the struggles of our children and the struggles that they face in the American classroom each and every day? Well, let me tell you about the first season of Teach the Babies with Dr. David Johns. It examines the impact of one of the most consequential Supreme Court cases of all time. I'm talking Brown v. the Board of Education. In each and every episode, Dr. David Johns talks to incredible educators and leaders as they all grapple with the question, has Brown's promise been fulfilled? Let me tell y'all something about Dr. David Johns. First of all, he's my friend. He is one of the most brilliant and revolutionary leaders of our community and society at large, and I truly, truly mean that. This brother is deep, and he is absolutely emphatically impassioned about our babies. This is a can't-miss deep dive into one of the most important issues facing our country, which is teaching our babies. And y'all should know that before he was a revolutionary national leader, David Johns started his career where? In the classroom, actually teaching the elementary school babies. I want you to like, subscribe, and share, and most importantly, listen as Dr. Johns and his guest explore these questions with you. You can find Teach the Babies with Dr. David Johns wherever you listen to podcasts. Hey, y'all, I'm Eboni K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Dustin Ross, my love, how was your weekend?
My weekend was incredible. Great weekend with friends and just staying fired up. You know, the whole point of all the conversations I had this weekend was to get everybody's ass to the ballot box.
That's
okay.
It.
So however I could bring that up this weekend, I brought it up every single time. So it was a good weekend.
Well, I
was
you on IG, getting it done, handled.
Yeah, handled that. It was time. It was time.
Yes,
Typically I like to wait until election day. But this year I was like, no, we got to get that shit in early and counted.
Mm-hmm. Okay? Don't go again, Dustin. Because
No, I'm not going to go again. I thought about it. I thought about going uptown instead of downtown. I'm not going to go again. I'm not going.
Don't get back out there. You already went. I'm just playing.
Hold your hand out.
Listen, get these licks. And shout out to New York voters. A lot of our precincts have changed. I don't know about yours, but I know my day of precinct has changed. And I'm glad about it, but y'all make sure y'all know that, because if you go to the wrong precinct, no matter where you go, they will send you to the correct one. So just make sure you check it out in your mailbox. Jurors, make sure you cross-reference, and certain states, make sure you take your ID. So really what we're talking about, and I love that you said that this was what y'all were doing over libations over the weekend. But with our voting plan, jurors, what's your voting plan? You know exactly where you're going. Do you live in a place where it's ranked choice? Know how that shit works, and exercise your rights, man. It's exciting. It's an exciting time.
Yes.
In that.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, speaking of exercising some rights, Dustin, the first story we're going to get to here on the docket, some good folks of Georgia, they are exercising their right to protest. We had some protesters outside the courthouse calling for the end of the YSL trial. We'll get into the why around that. And of course, I want to hear, as always, Dustin's take on it. Then next up on the docket, we're correlated still to Young Thug. That is that one of the co-defendants who's already well into their probationary sentence, they then reversed Uno on him. And he's now going to have to report to prison for a whopping 5 years. So not a lightweight reversal, a serious type of situation there. So we'll tell y'all exactly how that went down. And then this last story, I put it on the docket, Dustin, because, we're very serious about Black wealth on this podcast. We're very serious about closing the wealth gap between Black and white America. And, I stand loudly and boldly, as I always have said, that one of, not the only, but one of the better ways to do that is home ownership. Well, this woman in Georgia was going about her home ownership way. And really was done dirty down bad. Her and her 3 children, at times essentially homeless during this process of her trying to do the thing that we tell Americans to do, right? We always talk about the American dream and home ownership. Well, this Black woman, Dustin, was going about her business to pursue it. and really ended up in some real shit. So we want to
Mhm.
get into that and why I believe that there is some conspiracy, if you will, around sometimes how hard they make it for those of us that look like us to actually get into the home ownership posture. So yeah,
Yeah.
I want to catch that last item on the docket here, and we're gonna get into it. Here we go. Okay, so just last Friday, jurors, as of the recording of this episode, Friday, October 25th, a sizable amount of protesters gathered right in front of the Fulton County Courthouse. Of course, that is Atlanta, Georgia. And they were calling, Dustin, for justice. They were organizing. They say not necessarily in defense of Young Thug. And I think that's important, right? They're saying they're organizing and protesting for just justice. They're just saying there's a simple way in which, if we're to believe in this thing called a so-called justice system, it's supposed to go down a certain way. It's supposed to follow its own law and order. And what we're seeing from the outside, these protesters are saying, is that it's looking murky. It's looking real dirty. It's smelling like prosecutorial misconduct in what has already been historically the longest criminal trial in Georgia history. So when you saw that they were protesting, Dustin, what was your take?
Yeah. I mean, that is, I'm not negating their mission or their message whatsoever, right? Because we know it's a moot point at this point. We know that the justice system is broken. We know that it is in dire need of reform and of attention, right? But this trial might not be the best example to use, you know what I'm saying, to suggest that situation. So, I mean, hey, if they can get some movement and if they can get some things done, then sure, it's never a wrong time to speak up.
Okay.
I just feel like a lot of shit going on that deserves our attention a little bit more, to me.
Oh,
that's all.
Fair. And let's be clear, right? So I'm gonna quote you guys a line here that was given to the press. This is from one of the top organizers of this demonstration. His name is Tim Wilkerson. He says this, right? Quote, "My message is, at what point do we say this is unfair? What point does the justice system say we got it wrong? We either need to rethink what we're doing and do the mistrial or dismiss the trial." And when I say try again, I don't mean with the case, end quote. And let me just be real clear. I know that he's not implying that the case be tried again, but that's exactly what's going to happen. So, yeah, because the judge, I will say, she's pissed too at this point, right, Dustin? We covered this here on Holding Court. She has even alluded from the bench that this is giving mistrial, right? And she's given every indication that the prosecutorial handling has just been downright sloppy. I mean,
shitty, yeah.
She indicated, like, I don't know if y'all are trying to lose this case, but it's definitely giving mistrial. Now, just going back to some legalese, if you've been a long time juror, you already know how this gets down, but there's dismissing a case and declaring a mistrial with prejudice, right? And when you add that with prejudice piece, that means it's a wrap. It's done. The prosecutors had their day in court. They had their opportunity to meet their burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And the shit went left, and I'm dismissing the case. And when they say with prejudice, never to be heard again. The case is done. It's a wrap. But when they say without prejudice, that means it's absolutely possible. And I would go as far as to say normally likely that that same case will be brought back before the court. So it means, basically, y'all done fucked this up so bad that we're not going to proceed even to verdict this go round because it's just so lacking of integrity, the trial at this point. So scrap it, and you have the opportunity when you get your shit together, prosecutors, to bring the case back. That's typically how that would work. And I don't happen here.
I'm sorry, like he'll remain in custody if that. So say that happens, Thug just remains in jail until the new trial starts. How does that part work?
That typically is how that goes. And once again, I would not be surprised to see his lawyers rightfully try to request a bail hearing at that point, a bond hearing or some type of pretrial release. But again, for the same reasons that it was denied on the front end, the nature of the charges, some of them including murder, the racketeering, the organizing, all of that, I would expect that request, Dustin, to be denied, and that Young Thug would still be incarcerated pretrial all over again. So, I mean, at that point, you're talking about I mean, there's a scenario, Dustin, where if it goes that way, like if it plays out the way I'm laying out a forecasting for, just could end up in pretrial for almost 2 years. Literally, pretrial custody for, up to 2 years, which is
This is crazy.
I do think that's unconstitutional. I really do. I really think that flies in the face of what is supposed to be the whole point of a fair and speedy trial legal protection.
Absolutely. Spits in the face of it, to be honest. So we'll see. Like I said, hopefully they move the needle here and just get this shit over with. But I'm tired at this point. I'm exhausted. So that's what I would have been picketing for. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of hearing about it. That's what my sign outside the courthouse.
That's what be out there, but we get a different sign.
Wrap it up. Damn. Yeah, that would be me. So.
We wrap this shit up by Monday, as the kids say on the comments on Instagram.
Yes.
And just for those viewers wondering, like, what is the prosecutorial misconduct this time? Because it's always something. I mean, what a sloppy ass. I will say, Dustin, of all of my years of practice, this has been one of the more sloppy efforts.
Yeah.
The prosecutor's office in such a high profile case. It's kind of like at home when your parents are like, or your mama or your daddy or somebody is like, we know how we do it up in here, and it's chaos from time to time, but clean up and keep the house straight when the company come over. And
they just don't give a damn.
Yeah, the company is over Fulton County, and y'all are just showing us complete ass. Armoire makes getting dressed super easy. With its clothing rental membership, you can build the perfect wardrobe with brands that are high quality, unique, and they're recommended just for you. Listen, you start with a simple 5-minute style quiz, and then you get personalized dynamic closet for you. I just did it. I just ordered, right? And it was so fun. They asked me if my style is feminine or classic or bohemian. And y'all know me. I'm all of them, so it was great. Listen, we all know that feeling, right? You open your closet door, it's full of stuff, but we have nothing to wear. Enter Armoire. Armoire allows you to rent high-quality designer fashions for every occasion. And my favorite part is when I'm done wearing it, I just send it back. Armoire is also women-founded and women-led. I love that I can support a business that is built from the ground up by women just like me. So listeners, right now, you can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off your first month. That's a savings of up to $125. Just visit armoire.style/court. That's armoire.style, ARMOIRE.style/court. And you can get up to 50% off your first month, and you never have to worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today. Now, this time around, this happened just last week. One of the original co-defendants, keep in mind there were 28. I mean, that is part of why the scope of this criminal proceeding is so heavy and lengthy and wide and long, just the sheer number of co-defendants. So 28 co-defendants, one of them, Slime Life Shawty. I'm laughing, Dustin, because I remember when we first started covering this YSL shit about a year and a half ago or something. And
I didn't know what YSL.
I didn't know what none of this shit was. I was stuck on Yves Saint Laurent. I was really confused.
I was like, no, it's on down the street a little further. Yeah,
you walked me right
not
on.
that YSL.
You walked right out to having a co-host, ladies and gentlemen. You really need somebody to keep you on. So now I'm a little more familiar. So now, Slime Life Shawty, who now I'm familiar with, thanks to Dustin, he took the stand, right? And prosecutors asked him to review some social media posts. And that's typical, right? Like, hey, take a look at this. I want to ask you some questions about it. Well, in doing so, Slime Life reads aloud, free Qua. Well, if you're asking to free Qua, if that's on the social post, that means Qua must be what? Incarcerated, in jail. Of course, Qua, referring to Quamarvius Nichols, his lawyer is like, hold on, ring the alarm. The jury is not supposed to know that my client, Qua, is even incarcerated. And now that the prosecutor's own witness, own witness has slipped up per the questioning and revealed that my client is incarcerated, that is a bell that you cannot unring. Literally. And toothpaste is out of the tube. And you
They
cannot put
know
it
it
back in the
now.
tube.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I'm with this lawyer, Nicole Westmoreland, who is Qua's lawyer, saying, and now she's gonna ask for a mistrial. And the judge,
Mhm.
Judge Whitaker, said, that was definitely a fuck up. Let's be clear, it was a fuck up.
Mhm.
But I'm not inclined to, and this is what I was setting y'all up to understand. Judge Whitaker said, I'm not gonna do mistrial with prejudice, but probably will consider a mistrial without prejudice, meaning prosecutors can bring it back. But y'all are fucking this up so stinky, like, yeah, I'm probably really, I'm gonna tell y'all to take your toys and clean them up and come back and start all the way over.
Yeah, I know. When Quay's lawyer heard them say that, free Quay, I know she was, oh hell no.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
you didn't fuck up now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what that sounded like to me.
Yeah, y'all done
So,
fucked up now, and you fucked up last week, and you fucked up the week before that, and again,
mhm.
when we talked about this case a couple weeks ago, holding court, when you go through the transcript, Dustin, right, it's just gonna look so bad for the prosecutors
Terrible.
that there were like 5, 6, 7 instances where you're giving mistrial.
Yeah, they look inadequate. They
Yeah.
look like they don't know what they're doing, which is not what a lawyer is supposed to look like.
No, and if you're a young
So
thug at this point, just sitting at the table, there's no way, like, even if this trial crawls till the end, I'm not accepting that verdict. Like, I think at this point, actually, now that I'm just processing this in real time with you right now, Dustin, I think the judge really needs to go ahead and try and declare a mistrial. I really do. For the sake of the integrity of any verdict that is to come, I don't think any verdict at this point is going to feel legitimate.
mhm,
Does that make
mhm.
sense?
Perfect sense because it's too murky. Things are
It's just
too
getting
out of order
confusing.
at this point. Yeah,
Yeah. So if I'm out,
all over the place.
yeah, if I'm Judge Whitaker, just go ahead and call a mistrial without prejudice, as she's saying. She's
Mhm,
kind of quit playing with it. Let's quit playing with it, Judge. Let's just quit. Like, I'm
mhm.
almost, I might, I'm inclined to. Nah, just fucking pull the cord on this shit and let's just start over because this is a fucking mess. It really is.
Yeah, hopefully things go better next time. Because what if all this shit keeps happening? What if they do the mistrial
Hmm.
without prejudice, right?
Right.
And they come back and it's the same circus over again. What happens then? Do we get a mistrial without prejudice at
Could
that
be.
point, or like what
It could
happens?
be that. And also the reason they hate doing that, Dustin, is because now the defense has seen the prosecution's arguments. So there's
Mm-hmm.
no more element of surprise here. Not that they had a strong one to begin with, clearly, but that is the advantage of getting it right
Mm-hmm.
the first time. Let's be clear. You
Mm-hmm.
get it right the first time, prosecutors or defense, actually, you have an opportunity to lay your argument out with less ability for opposing counsel to poke holes in it because they don't know where
Yeah.
you're coming from. They don't know who
Yeah.
you're going to call to the stand. They don't know what theory of the case you have. But when you lay it all out so sloppy like,
Show your whole hand.
your whole hand, yeah, we could reshuffle the deck, but we kind of know where the card's going to go.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I want to say the inverse example, because here it's really, really sloppy prosecution, but where we've seen where the defense is harmed by the retrial, and I'm just kind of obsessed with the Menendez brothers. I don't know about you. Where are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
Watch the whole.
listen? Did you watch the Ryan Murphy Monsters?
I watched the entire Monster series, and I watched. They had a documentary on about the trial on Netflix that I
Yes,
watched too.
you watched it too.
Listen,
Hmm.
I'm obsessed, but I'm still unclear. I don't know if the things that they allege were going on to them and going on in that home were happening to them. I don't know. I'm still just as confused as I was back in the day.
Hmm.
I
No,
don't
that's
know.
real, and I think to the movie's credit, which I guess they had a lot of mixed reviews. I loved it. Top down. That Milli Vanilli soundtrack was fucking geek.
Oh my
I
God.
don't hear
Yes.
nobody say. Nobody.
Yeah.
Shit
Genius.
caves. And also,
Mhm.
don't my favorite piece, the scene in the first episode where they go on the spending spree and Lyle and
Yes.
Eric are in the suite at, I don't know, Beverly Hills Hotel or wherever the fuck they are. And I think it's Eric orders a grilled cheese sandwich and some tap water. And
Yep.
Lyle comes up. He said, "Did you order tap water?" He's like, "Yeah, bro. Order some tap water." We're fucking rich. You don't order no fucking tap water. It's Perrier from now on. And it just gave me life. Anyway, so anyways, back to the legal argument. That was the point I was trying to make. So in this case, they were able to be very successful the first trial because they were able to get in so much evidence, at least making the case for, if not, well, basically self-defense, which was that they had the sexual and physical abuse of both their father and to some extent their mother, Kitty Menendez. And because the second trial, the judge knew what was coming, a lot of that evidence was prohibited. They were not able to get that testimony in the same way.
Right.
They weren't even able to call the same witnesses. So the second go round at trial, they were convicted. Versus the first trial was a hung jury. The jurors were not able to come to a decision because, much like what you just said, Dustin, you kind of didn't know what to believe.
Right.
But the thing about our justice system, when you don't know what to believe, that is supposed to lead to an acquittal. That's actually how it's supposed to go. When you don't know what to make of it all, it's supposed to lead to an acquittal. Which is why I think, just to button up the Menendez piece, we're going to move on to the other piece of Young Thug, which is why I think the Los Angeles district attorney currently is saying, which is very rare, a prosecutor will say, we are supporting a resentencing. So there's probably a lot going on underneath that change of heart, so to speak, from the prosecutor's office. I'm wondering if certain contributions are coming through to his next campaign. We have to ask these questions, Dustin, because it's so rare that a prosecutor's office will stand down or stand in support, rather, of a reversal of sorts to their own office's actions on a case. We all saw how, to this day, Linda Fairstein and them over in New York prosecutor's office will still not support the exonerated 5, even though they have DNA evidence to prove their innocence. So I'm just citing that as an example, jurors, as to how hostile prosecutors normally are, even in the face of exonerating evidence. So for the Los Angeles DA to, oh, yeah, actually, we, as an office, we stand in public support of the resentencing. Yeah, okay. It's interesting. It's real interesting to me. But I say this is my take on it, and I'm going to be done with it. I think to the extent that they may or may not have been abused by Jose Menendez and Kitty Menendez, they've already served, I think it's 30 years or something close to it. Yeah. Well, I think let's just, even if they really just did it for the money, and even if they really just did it to be on the shopping spree of it all, I think there's an argument that says they've served significant time. And even if we're not fully convinced that Menendez brothers are victims, certainly not necessarily pure victims, if you will, I'm okay. I'm okay with them getting out at this juncture only because they have served such significant, lengthy sentences. And that's kind of, I think, a lot of the judicial rationale that's going on at this point.
Me too, but we have to pad that with some, we need to, if we're going to actively work to get them out of jail, we need to make sure that we're doing that for a lot of the Black and brown people that are in jail on some fucked up charges or who have served enough time. Like, there's just a lot.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I'm having a difficult time finding I just don't care.
We can say it for you, Dustin. These niggas getting special treatment because
basically
white presenting Latino white boys from Beverly Hills, and that they have become celebrities throughout the commission of an alleged crime or convicted murders, double murder. And Dustin's saying, for all of the arguments to be made on all the sides, let's keep that same energy for Black folks who are locked up and serving time for things that are much less horrendous. But let's be real judicial. I hear you saying, Dustin, in terms of putting our empathy. I hear that.
That's it. That's my only point.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And thank you for keeping us accountable. Thank you for keeping us accountable, because that's real. That's real as fuck.
I mean, I don't want to see them sit there and suffer if they were, experiencing that abuse and they had to do what they had to do. But they also did that shit and did it in a very violent, terrible way. So, like, there's a lot of layers here. You know what I mean? It's not as simple for me as it is for a lot of other people. Like, no.
Yeah, no, it's far from open and shut. So there you have it. Now when we talk about this next case on our docket here, also dealing with YSL case, but this is Antonio Sledge, also as I mean, I hear Dustin. Is it Monk Tonk? No,
Monk Tonk. Yeah.
What the fuck you laughing at, Dustin? I'm trying here. Okay,
Hey, you did well.
my
It
effort.
is. It is.
This is my effort. Okay, don't say I can't try. Okay, so Monk Tonk has now had his probation actually revoked. And again, this is a literal turn of events here. He was sentenced to 27 years of probation. And just for those that aren't just wheeling and dealing in the criminal justice system on a routine basis, that is an extraordinarily long probation sentence. Normally somebody on probation for a year, 3, 5, 10 is a long probationary sentence. 5 years is about an average probationary sentence. So a 27-year-long probationary sentence is highly unusual. But that
sounds like.
Yeah, because it is. Because that's basically saying you got to act totally right for 27 years. High bar. Either way, that was what the deal was. And in exchange for that probationary 27-year-long sentence, he had to do some things. He had to correlate, I think, about 16 different statements of fact. And of course, not get any additional charges and remain a truth teller. That was the deal, and testify and cooperate with the state and the prosecution. Well, turns out that he was testifying just a week ago, and he apparently immediately locked up because of a violation around his probationary guidelines that require him to tell the truth. And apparently he basically admitted to lying, and the DAs immediately filed this revocation of his probation. And the judge said, lock him up on site. Of course, his legal team did try to plead for a delay, let him get his affairs in order. He wasn't expecting to go to jail. And Fulton County Superior Court Judge Paige Reese Whitaker was sympathetic. She said, listen, I do understand you did not anticipate on going to jail today, but that's not my problem. And you are going to jail because there is not a proper regard. This is the quote. There is not a proper regard for the judicial system per your testimony, i.e. you lying. We know you're lying. And so now go to jail immediately. Do not collect $200. That's it. That's it. And so the DA filed that motion saying that Mr. Sledge, also known as Montauk, shut up, Dustin, knowingly and willingly contradicted key evidence of his original testimony. And this was the 2022 plea agreement. And back then, 2 years ago, he said one thing, but when he got on the stand just last month, he said another. And you know, listen, I think the reason I wanted to talk about this to the jurors, Dustin, just when you, deals always sound great, right? So plea deals, plea bargains, I should say not always, but often can sound like good ideas. But just know that what you agree to, they really are, they gonna hold you to that shit. They are not playing with you. So if the whole incentive, that's the word I was looking for, of the prosecutors to offer you such an abnormal plea deal, they're allowing you to be outside instead of in jail for 27 years, you better know they're fucking serious about what you're gonna get on that stand and say. Yeah. So for you to get on the stand, even 2 years later, and now you're trying to tell the truth, or you're either you were lying then or you're lying now. Either way, the DA said not on our watch.
This is why you can't fuck around and play in the court.
Yeah.
You can't play in court. And this, I'm so glad that this is on our docket in addition to what we talked about previously, because a lot of people will go into court playing these games trying to get a mistrial or get things, you know, just so confusing that there's no clear order. Well, you can't always fuck around and play in court, because this is what happens. They will revoke your probation sentence, and send your ass right back to the slammer.
Yeah.
So like, you can't fuck around.
Yeah, they got to know it, Dustin, and they got to see it. Unfortunately, sometimes people got to see it in real time, because a lot of times people think once the deal is done, the deal is done. You know, like, okay, well, you know, I'm good now. No,
you're not.
You ain't good. Yeah, you really not good. You're literally only as good as they say you're good.
That's it.
And only for as long as they say so.
If they say you good for.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. So again, jurors, going back to the facts here, this was back, he testified, the deal was made in 2022. but he was recounting a murder that allegedly took place back in 2015. So, even many, many years before. And he apparently he said one thing in 2022, said another here in 2024. And his reasoning, because why would you flip up like that? He claims that he felt pressure into accepting the plea deal back again in 2022 due to personal circumstances and financial constraints. And now 2024, I guess your circumstances have changed, your bank look different, and now you want to tell what we presume to be the truth all of a sudden. Yeah, play it don't work like that. You got to stand on what you said you were going to stand on, or the terms are void. And that's literally what the DA fucked around and showed him. So shout out to Montauk. Okay, shut up, Dustin. We're gonna move on now to this final story here on the docket. So this is a mother of three. Also, all the stories today are in Georgia. Shout out to the battleground state of Georgia. Yeah, we gonna call this one Georgia on our mind. Shit,
you on our mind today.
Listen, heavy on Georgia. This also in Georgia, the Georgia Dream Lender Program was a homeownership program in the state of Georgia. We'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute, but essentially know this, jurors. This program was supposed to help first-time buyers like Miss Kendall here. Her name is Shayla Kendall. She has three sons. They were all very excited to move into their first home as owners. Miss Kendall did everything she was supposed to do. Turned in her credit score, her income proof, her asset, everything that and if you've ever gone through a home buying process, they ask you for everything but a damn blood sample to get this shit done. And she did it. She uploaded everything on time. She did her part. That's the important part here, y'all. She did her part. She was given a closing date, and then they moved it. And then she was giving another closing date, and then they moved it for several more months. Y'all, they moved it 4 times, at least 4 times by her count. And every time they did that, her and her sons are having to figure out new temporary housing. Okay. And then finally, they were damn near homeless at the very end. And that's when she had to call local investigators at her local news station, 11 Alive Investigate. We all shout out to all of us millennials know that investigative reporting, get the ass together, won't it? When you call
every time.
Listen.
Every time, baby.
Listen.
Yeah.
It's very serious.
They're going to knock on your door.
Yeah. With them cameras.
That's right.
And
a question.
Yeah. people get some act right real fast. So that's what Miss Kendall did. She called 11 Alive Investigates in Georgia and had them say, what's going on? Keep in mind, this woman also is an educator. She's a school teacher. She actually moved from Gwinnett County to seek ownership in a more affordable county. And a lot of times that's how these programs are. They incentivize you to move to certain less desirable spaces, but that's off. Yeah. And anyways, her and her 3 sons were, you can just see it. They're excited. We're going to have our own bedrooms. We're going to have our own houses. Mom did everything she was supposed to do to avail herself to this great program, right? The Georgia Dream Homeownership Program. Lower interest rates, helping first-time buyers, making sure they don't have to put as much down, sometimes even zero down, or at least providing assistance. And y'all, I'm talking about all this because I'm a big proponent of these types of programs, right? In fact, to the extent that reparations for Black Americans materialize, I actually am in favor of this type of programming being a part of the reparations package. I'm not against cash reparations by any stretch, but I'm a big fan of this. And Dustin, give us and reduce our taxes on a federal and state level. Give us the bag and make it so that we can have home ownership access without a down payment, without these high interest rates. Exactly. But what I don't believe in and what I don't rock with are these programs that look good on the outside, but then go back the layers of execution and how it actually is implemented. It's the fuck shit.
It's raggedy as hell.
Yeah, that's what Miss Kendall is describing. I did everything y'all told me to do. I was supposed to be in my home with my 3 sons at this designated time. 1 delay, okay, we can understand. 2 delays, maybe. 3 and 4 delays, Miss Kendall ain't no fool. She said, at this point, y'all want me to walk away from this deal. And that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And this is a damn shame for a lot of reasons too, Ebony. As for her being a teacher,
Yep.
her having 3 sons, you know, this is a person who needs the help. Teachers don't make no damn money.
And
So
they know
she's
it.
already working uphill. And still she's done she's diligently, okay, met the mark, met the moment, provided all her documents, saved up the money she needed to get this loan and just get this thing moving for her. This is a damn shame. And a teacher, okay, and a parent, a mother of 3 sons should have been in the front of the line to get this thing moving. Shame on everybody that had their hands on this, everybody that ignored this and shuffled it away and tried to avoid giving her essentially what she's entitled to now that she's met the qualifications. This is horrible.
Yeah, and this is the fuck shit, right? This is where we have to really be high scrutinizing of these policies, even when they seem to be delivering what we've asked for, right? Like scenario, this is the type of thing we would have covered on Holding Court as aspirational, right? This type of program. And now we have it, the woman, educator, mother, doing everything right. And now y'all gonna play games with this woman's time? Dustin, she moved her 3 sons to a whole different school district to be in compliance with this process.
Doing it all right. Doing everything right.
Right. Living in rooms with no furniture, just to hold out. It's closing. Many of us know what it is to just anxiously await that closing date. And they keep moving it, and they keep moving it, and they keep moving it. So at the very end, with just 72 hours to move out of that temporary rental, the process was pushed back yet again. So, you know, it's really, really sad. I'm happy to report jurors this ultimately ends with good news. It ends with good news. But I have to say, ultimately, Miss Kendall and her 3 boys were able to move into their new home very recently. But I cannot believe that has nothing to do with the fact that she got on their ass and called 11 Alive local investigation and shined the big fucking spotlight on the greasiness, on the dirtiness of them trying to make it so inconvenient, so hostile for this Black mother and her son that she would walk away from the deal. And by the way, know that a lot of hands got greased in this process when they have these kind of programs. These are not from the goodness of folks' hearts. Folks get cash. These businesses, these loan companies, these mortgage companies, they all get financial incentives, tax breaks, and all kinds of shit to make these programs possible. So y'all got paid. Y'all got paid. Y'all's checks have cleared. Where is Miss Kendall's fucking house?
That's why they don't give a damn. Because it's not, for them, it's nothing more than just moving some shit around and then they go in and go home. They're not concerned about her actually getting her house and being in her house. And they're not looking at who this woman is and what she's provided, what she's given to the world as an educator, especially at a time like this, mothering her 3 sons. There's no fellow feeling here, really. You know what I'm saying? And it's a shame because it's like beating your head up against a wall to try to get something done. I wish she would have called 11 Alive back when Nene Leakes was interning there. Remember on the Housewives of Atlanta when Nene was interning at 11 Alive? That's what we should have called. Get her in that damn house. Now, why ain't she in her house? That's what Nene would have been saying at that door.
With the original Nene hair, the original.
That's it. Hair. That's it.
That swoop.
That's right.
That blonde Mary swoop. Yeah, that would have gave.
That's it.
That would have gave.
I'm glad she's in her house though. Shout out to what's her name? Miss Kendall.
Yeah, shout out to Miss Kendall and her 3 boys. And I guess I want to just leave jurors on this because we always like to apply this broadly, right? Beyond just this one young lady's story. And that is this. When we rightfully advocate, mandate, demand these politicians and these parties give us programming similar to this, whether it's, I don't give a damn if it's Trump's opportunity zones, I don't give a damn if it's Biden's fill in the blank, bounce back program, whatever the fuck it is. This is bipartisan. We have to also remember to put in place in the policies themselves accountability metrics that say when a certain number of first-time home buyers, when a certain number of Black first-time home buyers, when a certain number of single mother home buyers, whatever it is, dual married Black whatever, when they don't have the outcomes the programs were designed to generate, there's got to be a fiscal consequence.
Yeah.
Got to say now we're going to double the taxes on these types of lenders. Because without that punitive accountability point,
Yep.
we'll get shitted on every time.
Every single time. Every single time.
Because we saw it with Trump's affordability opportunity zones, rather. I mean, it sounds real fucking good. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn who has a good idea, Dustin. Let's be clear. You got
a good idea is a good idea. That's right.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll tell you something. Oh, we're going to make sure that Black contractors for Black businesses get these bids. And you know what happened? Sure, they were on the bid. By the time the deal went to market, by the time the building was time to be constructed, no Black contractors were in sight. No Black actual vendors were in sight. And it was the same old white boys that got cashed out as always. That's what happened to the opportunity zones. So Dems, Republic, I don't give a fuck. Make it happen, make it enough, or stop fucking playing, and then we're gonna get you on the back end. And the incentives you received to implement the program, if you don't actually land the deliverables, you must be punished.
Seriously, it's that simple. It needs to be handled that way. That's it.
So we'll keep on it. We'll keep on it, y'all. But definitely heavy on Georgia this episode. Heavy on Georgia, in really good ways. You know, a lot of opportunity in Georgia. That's one thing about it. But we just have to, as always, keep our foot on their neck and make them do right by us, because that's just how it's got to be. Absolutely.
You have to, no matter how many months it takes, like it did in this case. You just have to continue. You got to be diligent in getting that done. That's it.
Yeah. And when all else fails, call the news station, child.
Call 11 Alive, baby.
Listen, they'll send that camera up there real quick. I was Action Live Channel 9 in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was a Black brother named, I want to say it was like Don Johnson or Don something. Donna, like they asked. Shout out to Charlotte. I think he's still on TV. My favorite.
Isn't it funny how those news anchors just become a part of your family almost? Like you watch them every day, and you develop a sort of relationship with them through the television, and they really become important to you when, God forbid, when they pass on or things like that happen. It really hurts you. You know what I mean? You be like, man.
Don Griffin. That's his name. I knew.
Bonds, all
Don
them,
Griffin
like, come on.
was family. And don't make me call Don Griffin on your ass. Yeah, it was a time to be alive, wasn't it? Well, listen, Drews, we want to thank y'all. So glad to have the Dustin Ross back with us today. It just hits so special, so different. Listen, it's cold outside. I don't know where y'all live in the country or the world, but it's getting a little bit nippy. So you have to make sure that you have your layers on as you're out here canvassing and protesting and making sure that everybody has a voting plan. We want everybody nice and warm and comfortable, okay?
That's right.
That's right.
Put it on. Put some Vicks on your chest, underneath your little neck. You know what to do.
And put some on them lips, okay? That time of year, we need to put something, a protective layer on the lips and the chest, okay?
And hands. With that knuckle area. Yes.
Yeah, and in between the fingers, too, okay? Dustin, what you want the people to do in the meantime?
Read your terms and your conditions and vote Harris Walls. As far as I'm concerned, I don't give a damn. Vote
your life depends
Harris
on
Walls. Thank you.
Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Eboni K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. Our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs. Creative consultant, Jay Kleinberg. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcast.